By 1908, life started to fall apart for Selina Aylott. She had been carrying a lot of pain from times past, and wasn't the strongest of people to deal with such burdens. I guess these feelings ate away at her slowly. And of course times were different then, and the understanding of mental health low in comparison to what it is today. Her daughter's father-in-law, William Reuben Plaskett, was categorised as insane and had for the longest time been a patient of a mental institution. The thought of ending up in a place like this would have been unimaginable to Selina. Although, deep down, she knew she needed help, but had no one to turn to. Sometimes when the pain gets hard, you begin to take things out on your loved ones, or self-harm in one way or another.
Welcome to the 10th of our 13 terrifying stories for Halloween. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the life of Selina Aylott and the last days of her life. This is a true story and makes up just one of the dark and twisted tales that exist in my family history.
Can we truly answer why? Why someone decides that life is not worth living? Why they decide to commit self-murder? Or is it only the person committing the act that knows their reasons, or believes it to be? It's one of those fundamental questions that leaves no answers, and very often just more questions. The burden of a loved one committing suicide can weigh heavily on the souls of family and friends. Guilt often falls into play. For the person considering suicide, all it takes is a simple trigger to commit your body into eternity. Selina's reason for wanting death was certainly depression, and in the end her soul couldn't take any more. She bought a bottle of hydrochloric acid, and when the moment came, she unfastened the cap and began to drink. She sat there in the corner, recoiling the voices coming softly from the noise of children in the street, which sporadically went over and over again inside of her pounding head, face covered over with an old tea towel pulled haplessly down from the small work surface above her. Tea, now spoiled and cold, sat forgotten and abandoned next to her upon the bare floor in an old chipped blue cup. There was air in this room just a moment ago. She could taste it and feel it as she inhaled deeply, filling her lungs with life-giving oxygen. Now it had gone. She had been struggling for breath for almost 10 minutes, trying to calm herself from an overwhelming panic that had besieged her. Pain panged in her stomach, and twinges of sudden knots like shock treatment watered her eyes. Compunction overcame her, and she begged silently to herself, wheezing for air and clutching her stomach. With a twinge of pain, a tightening of knots, the walls bore down on her, almost suffocating. The rusted hinged door closed shut. The window fastened, like there was no window at all. She tried in desperation to breathe. It was hopelessness. The pain was excruciating, and her extreme anxiety was crushing her lungs. Was this what drowning would be like? Is this what happens when you try to suffocate yourself? Not that she gave a damn. She wanted to stop breathing, wanted to stop living. Anything would be better than the throbbing from inside her guts and the overwhelming sensation from between her legs. She had never felt anything like this before. The pain of it all combined. The actual pain and the actual loss she was feeling were more than she could ever envision. A bead of sweat ran down along her forehead. Her face was a flushed red, and saliva prominently hung from the corner of her mouth. She wanted to scream out loudly. She wanted to tell the world how much she hated it. She wanted to grasp the teacup firmly in her hands and smash it. Anything to forget about the hurting and conscious grief. What felt very near an eternity, her throat tight and dry, began to ease ever slower. The sounds of her whooping coughs and her splutters fading, and her breathing regained a balance as her body welcomed the influx and gentle flow of fresh oxygen. For a moment, she thought the worst was over. Her head rested heavily upon the cold wall, the towel still draped over most of her face, and silent tears replaced the anguish that she wanted to scream. Then she felt the trickling sensation, a warm, irritating flow upon her inside thigh. Had she pissed herself? Was it a bead of sweat, or was she bleeding? At that moment, the pain began again, her chastisement gouging her because intolerably she took on too much. Slowly she pulled herself up from the floor. She clambered for her bed, feeling the entirety of lost emotion from within inside of her, locking it away, defending it as though it was her misery and hers alone. Heavily, her body dropped down upon the bed, and she held tightly her stomach to forget it ever happened, to find a reason, if any, that this was not her fault. An unnerving darkness slowly descended upon her, heavy like rocks. A jolt of pain, the trickling sensation of blood followed henceforth, a last frantic thought. She had killed herself and was about to die. This following letter was written in 1908, just shortly before Selina drank a bottle of hydrochloric acid and committed suicide in the most violent way. My dearest Samuel and Clara, this is the hardest letter I have ever had to write, and if you're reading it, then it means only one thing: I am no longer with you. Please don't be sad for my passing. Life is far too difficult as it is, and I know more than anyone the pain that life can cause. Please remember, I will always be beside you. I will always be looking down on you, and when you need me, I will be there. Clara, will you please have my box of keepsakes fetched to you? I leave everything within for you. Samuel, I leave my love, and I thank you for the years we have spent together. Why I am going I need not say, you can guess. The one who has caused me to go, I can't say, and even if I did, it would do no one any good. My only wish is that I will find May waiting for me. I miss her dreadfully. She has been my worry for so long. She is alone. Pawn whatever you need to. My gold ring, my gold locket. I dare say they will fetch a little money, enough to contribute to a basic funeral. My body may be found in my room, or I may decide to go further. I cannot fix on a certain place till the time comes. If my death brings shame on the family, I am sorry for that. Clara, I have left you a dreadful lot of hard work to do for me. I know, but when it's all over, I am sure you must think it's the best thing I could do, and what I ought to have done 5 years ago, and saved my family all the disgrace of these last 5 years. Now, for your own sake, and the sake of your family, Don't scream or faint, or do anything like that when you read this, as I must warn you, it is very shocking. But it can't be helped now. I have been unhappy for a very long time. My mind is slowly but surely going. I only hope it will last one more week. I wonder if anyone else ever felt as nervous as I do about death. I am going out tomorrow to finish up the last of my business. Then I shall have nothing else to do but wait for Monday. I am starving myself this week, as much as possible, to be too weak to struggle, and so my stomach is empty, as I dread a slow death more than anything else. I hope it is quick. Goodbye, Clara. Goodbye, Samuel.